same note, I also like to welcome all our representatives, managers. I do understand that some managers have been engaged in work.
This is a beginning of a new era where I want to give you opportunity to meet myself directly on a quarterly basis. 4 times a year, I would want to visit at least, if not twice, once in the first half and second in the second time in the second half of the year, is to give you first an opportunity to talk to us and share your issues and concerns. Ladies and gentlemen, Fiji has a very unique model in terms of education provision, particularly with respect to primary and secondary education. In Fiji, we have got almost all the schools constructed and established by faith-based groups or public, the committees, except for 4. All schools are constructed and established by faith-based groups, while the Ministry of Education provides, government provides operating grant, teacher salaries, and the curriculum. This unique model and the partnership is a testament of your commitment to education in this country. Our forefathers established these schools so that our children are not deprived of education. It's a unique foresight that our forefathers had at that particular point in time, and we want to give management that kind of recognition. Hence the establishment of a National Council for School Managers. The National Council of School Managers will have district councils, Nadi, Ba, Lautoka, and there'll be 2 members reporting to the National Council, will be part of the National Council. And we'll also have members from the faith-based groups. And then in each district, you'll have committees appointed by the district themselves, Nadi, Lautoka, Ba, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we cannot be complacent in terms of education. We cannot bring in politics into education. We cannot bring in personal agendas into politics. We want people to work for the children of this country, the future of this country. Hence, we want to establish a National Council for School Managers which has education at heart, which has children at heart. We don't want to recognize or give credit to a group of elites who would form a group for their own personal agenda. That won't happen. Ladies and gentlemen, there are reforms that we are undertaking with respect to moving education and raising the benchmark of academic excellence in this country. The reforms include 3 pillars. Pillar 1 deals with quality staff delivery. Every week I get complaints about staff not doing what they're supposed to do. Every week, all kinds of complaints. Difference between management and staff. Just this, yesterday morning I was in Rekereki. One primary school manager came and told us that the head teacher is not liaising with the management, doesn't invite the management to school events, establishing this own PTA and destabilizing the management. Now these things are not acceptable. Immediately I asked the education officer in the Rekereki to go and talk to the head teacher, do counseling, note down, and clearly instruct the head teacher has to work with the management. Management is a very important component of the school system. They have sacrificed. I get complaints about staff relationship, staff relationship, staff-student relationship. Some of these complaints are mind-boggling, quite depressing. We get staff suspension every fortnight. Our staff is suspended. These kinds of issues are not acceptable to the ministry going forward. We want staff to do what they're paid to do. 4 decades ago, you compare the quality of staff we had. Their status in society was very different than what we have now. When people want to make a decision in the community, they will go to the school teacher and say, let's get advice from the school teacher. Those things are not happening now. Ladies and gentlemen, Pillar 1 deals with upgrading, upskilling staff, knowledge. You would have noted this year we've started to upskill our teachers, OHS skills, first aid, counseling skills, so that our staff is able to deliver onto those when they're teaching. Pillar 2 deals with content. we need to move away from teaching only to education. Education is more than teaching. It's to build a person, how the person will lead in the society and community, build a better citizen. So we want to move away from a teaching only strategy to an education strategy where it is outcomes based. Are we delivering onto an outcome? Are we delivering into our quest to build and construct better citizens in the country? Ladies and gentlemen, Pillar 3 deals with infrastructure development. Over the last 4 decades, when the schools was constructed, 4, 5, 6 decades ago, this was constructed by the people, the members of the community. They sacrificed their income, time, personal time, family time, resources to construct these schools. But this was neglected. Governments, past government did not contribute to regular upkeep and maintenance of these schools. We are now doing that. Through the FEG grant, we want to assist in construction of the schools. We look after the schools. We have, over the last 13 months, toured various places in Fiji. Unfortunately, not even 50% of the schools I were able to make it in the first 13 months. But I must say that the kind of difference I've seen between schools in the infrastructure, in the interior, in the rural area, and maritime, vis-a-vis the schools in the urban area, is enormous difference. And that is one reason why parents are reluctant to send their children to schools in the interior, rural area, and maritime, because we don't have the same set of complement of infrastructure that we have in the urban area. Ablution blocks is missing. I went to a school in Yasawa's, Yaqeta Primary School. There's no toilet. Where are the children going in the daytime? Where is the teachers going? Library is missing. If library room is there, books are not there. IT lab is not there. Roof is leaking. We have started work. Government is allocating money for that. The free education grant is to use to enhance the learning environment of the school, enhance the learning environment. The learning environment includes stationery for the teacher, photocopying materials, basic equipment, as well as remainder money to be used for construction of the school. Fencing, additional classroom construction, IT lab construction, ablution block construction, etc. There's a misconception that we cannot use FEG for those, but you will need to. Any capital work that the money is being utilized for, you need to come back to the ministry and ask for environment. And ministry needs to document ministry's contribution for capital works, because it's ministry's money going to development of the capital, which is owned by the public. Hence, we need to have proper documentation for all capital works. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the flexibility we have established in terms of utilization of pre-education grant. From going forward, we want to work very closely with the managers. We don't believe in any other group that will come with their own personal agenda. We want to give them the kind of recognition that they deserve. And from next year, we'll be organizing workshops to upskill the managers. We'll train them. The kinds of audit reports we're getting with regard to usage of FEG grant is both mind-boggling. We're worried about it. And in fact, a lot of managers can get into trouble. And therefore, we want to train them and again tell them, look, this money is meant for the children, meant for the school, meant for the teachers, an improvement of the learning environment. So we're looking forward to working with the managers in every district, and I personally will be present with all my team from the ministry to meet the managers starting from February, and getting first-hand the feedback on what are the issues that they're facing. With this, I want to open up the forum. This is your session, and I want to thank you all for coming. You've taken your personal time. I want to open it up so that you have an opportunity to ask any question that you want, any clarification that you want to seek. Thank you, and so the session is now open. This is your session, and I look forward to talking to you. And after this, we'll also have an informal session. So we'll have about 15 minutes of question and comments, and then we will have an informal Kannada session where you can raise questions informally as well that you find. Yes.
First and foremost, I must thank the President government for what they have done for education in Fiji. I think we should all show appreciation to the government of the day. Secondly, being the chair of the Lautoka Advisory Council, we have visited schools, and I think you have rightly said that the money has been given by the ministry, it should be utilized in the best and most equitable system. I, as the chair of Lautoka, will visit schools whereby the managers and the school staff, they don't get along. And in some schools, we have complaints that the schools are run by only few people. In some schools, there is no annual AGMs. And we are also reporting to the Lautoka Education Office in regards to the schools not having AGMs. One in particular was the Wakamboli Primary School, where they do not have the AGM for the last 3 to 4 years. So I think with this new concept and new reforms, I think people are coming to realize that how important the education is in the country and how important the education money is utilized to enhance the education in our country. Mr. Minister, I can also say that at this point of time, the government grant have eased our parents. Now the parents don't have to wait or look for money to send our children to school. But today, we can clearly say, we just prepare them with lunch, they go to school, bus is free, education is free, everything is free at this point of time. And I don't know what other managers have to say. I know there will be some critics, but leave the critics. Please get together, be positive rather than be negative. Thank you.
We are very grateful for the wonderful work that the ministry is doing. We are a very small school, rural school. The money that is provided is, of course, very gratefully accepted. We desperately needed that. The question is, who will approve the environment and what procedures are laid down for that? Because we have in past written letters have not been replied. And we feel very, the system that we have, we must use the money for the purpose it is provided. And without your approval, we would not like to buy it. And therefore, sometimes we are really stuck. So we request assistance in that area to clarify that. My second question is relating to the situation that we have at the Drasa. The buses that would come about 6:30 in the morning, which means the children have to get up at 5, get ready, come to the main road, get the bus and arrive at the school at 6:30 a.m. We arrange for supervision for that. And the situation is the children are very tired by the time 5 o'clock they reach their home. When will they study? They are very small children we're talking about. We are talking about a primary school. Therefore, we request the ministry to assist us in getting the routes reorganized so that our children can come on time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Let me answer that question. With regard to the second question, so we'll get details and we'll ask our divisional education officer to talk to the transport company. On the first question, the environment is approved by us. The application for environment must come to the asset and monitoring section and the director secondary and myself. What we do is, as soon as it comes to us, we will immediately approve it, but there's certain conditions to it because all environments needs to be signed off by the head of school. Head of school must say, the head teacher or the principal must say that yes. I'll tell you why. For example, we don't want you to wire money from, let's say, computer allocation to capital construction, and later on the principal or head teacher comes and tells us that, you know, why did you do that? Because we don't have computers. So they need to sign off. Environments are allowed because we don't need to buy computers every year. We may not need to buy books, library books every year. So we are very flexible with that, and we want all the money to be utilized. All the money to be utilized for enhancement of the school environment. There may be, you might have to do painting of the building. Might have to do fencing of the building. You can do the construction of another classroom or a hall, etc. So we encourage that, but we want to first ensure that we meet the operational requirements of the school. So that pre-education grant is not only for operating purpose. I think there's some misunderstanding. But the first and foremost, we want to ensure that our teachers have required stationery photocopy papers are there, photocopy machine is working, etc. So once those are met, then the person who knows best about it is the head teacher or the principal. And then, so my email is always there. I'm in direct contact with all of you. You'll have my mobile number and email address, but we also will have the district council rep who will be assisting you. So we're happy to assist you in this regard. Thank you.
First issue is the freight cost. The freight cost. Yeah. I know that the freight cost to all the schools is all the same, town and maritime. I would request if you can look into that. The freight cost to the Yasawas is higher than the school in town. I'm not discriminating my colleague here, but that is a fact, the freight cost. The second one is the solar systems. Most of our school got solar system only in the office, at teacher's office, including the principal office in Yasawa High School. And I would also request your ministry if you can help us in installing the solar system in all the schools in the maritime zone. And lastly, the allocation of kindergarten. I know that you've put an allocation throughout Fiji is the same. I still feel that for us, maritime school, we need a little bit more compared to, traveling and all those things. That is all, sir. Vinaka.
The first one, we will look into the real issue that we're talking about, freight cost. The second one is regard to solar. I think you may recall, we have asked, your head teachers may have told you and the principals, we've asked for what kinds of capital construction that you need to do, repair and maintenance as well. We're collecting the data and we're wanting to submit that to a donor agency. My feeling is that we'll get money. Even if we can get about 30 million, we'll be able to do the first level of a stage of capital improvements and capital construction that we want to do. I'm looking at least 60 million for all the 900 schools in Fiji, 60 million, to bring it to the same level. But even if you get about 20 million for now, for the first stage, I think we will be able to do that. So that is another major step that we're taking in terms of submitting. Unfortunately, still we did not get complete data from all schools. I think probably about 15% of the schools are remaining. For some reason or the other, they haven't submitted. So that is delaying our submission. But as I mentioned earlier on, this year we have made major contribution in terms of, apart from the FEG, on capital construction and improvement. And we found money from different line items, and we have contributed towards construction of capital buildings for a number of schools. You may have read the papers last week. We visited Wainamala School. About 7 schools we met there, we came. And you may have seen the article in papers this week on Monday, a dormitory, which was a test dormitory. Students are still staying there. Those kind of things should never exist. So we've allocated $70,000 to fix that. So so overall we spent in that particular area about $300,000. We have to look for money, but we want those construction to take place by January. So we are very particular, and we visited Yasawas and a few schools in your area as well, and we have made allocations apart from the FEG. Next year again, we'll be giving more money to smaller schools in rural, interior and maritime to ensure that the infrastructure there is same at least to the schools in the urban areas. Thank you. Naka definitely will give close attention.
I would like to take this time to express our sincere thanks and gratitude to your continued visit to the beautiful island of Yasawa. I think we've been left out for many times.
You were.
And we thank you. Since you set foot on our island, major development has been taking place. You've lifted our spirit, redirect our thoughts to value more our upcoming generation. And our lives, our village, our living standard, and so forth. We salute you for that. And the ministry initiative and commitments. Also, we have had experience in running the school, but we feel we have some setbacks. As my fellow media comments regarding freight as high cost of freight in the south, and the boat fare. Please say, for our allocation, FEG administration office allocation, can you increase a little bit for schools in Yasawa so that we can meet our transport and freight, as we mentioned before? And secondly, if the ministry can run a workshop for stakeholders and management and teachers, as you said before, that there's a lot of differences between stakeholders and teachers. A lot of compliment has been raised up in differences. Once again, say thank you very much for your support to the schools in Yasawa, and may God bless you, and happy Diwali.
Thank you. Naga. I take your comments on board in the later part of your statement, and we'll definitely look into that. We will make administration changes to the FEG line allocations to take into account the additional cost that we incur. I do understand the, let's say, one-bedroom quarters that we want to construct here in urban area, maybe let's say 25,000 or so, or 30,000. That cost will be different because of cutting the materials. Very, very, very expensive, and so scenario is quite different. We need to take that into account. So definitely, we will be making changes to the FEG allocation line items, and also make it more flexible in terms of environment. Thank you. Those gentlemen at the back.
For the past few years, we've been facing this problem with this bus company that is transporting the children from home to school. This bus company is the Pacific Transport. We've lodged complaints for the past few years to the Ministry of Education and the LTA as well. So far, we're still facing this problem. When we lodge complaints, they give us a air-conditioned bus. The next day, they give us the same bus. Sometimes we have to wait. We have a book in school, Mr. Minister, to note down all the dates and days and the time the children arrives late. Sometimes they arrive to school 9 o'clock. And the teachers on duty, they have to wait at the gate, leaving the rest of the students behind, to wait for this bus. And sometimes the children, they board the bus, halfway they have to walk because of this bus transportation problem. Breakdowns. Mr. Minister, our request is if you can look into that, or whoever is responsible, the LTA. If our request is, how about if we have another bus company just to provide the transportation of the school children? Because the Pacific Transport, they say they won't allow any other bus company to transport these kids because that's their route. But they have to give us a good bus every day. Our request is, how about if you can help us? It's either they provide good bus every day or we change into another bus company just for the school kids transportation. Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Examine that, and I'll definitely get back to you. But after this session, I want to also take details from you. Thank you. Akram?
I'm very happy to be part of this meeting this morning. And as mentioned by our speakers earlier, that it's a good opportunity for us to be here and share ideas and discuss. And I have been involved in school for last 10, 12 years. If we are genuine and what the ministry wants, I think we should understand what is the message today. The money is for teaching and learning, and it has to be used in the right place. Otherwise, we can be accountable for that. And it's a volunteer work, I know, and but you have to be genuine. On that note, that's a piece of advice to all of us here. And I have one thing probably to raise, which is beyond our control at the moment. I'm not able to bring up just one thing. When teachers are given maybe leave without pay or maternity leave, or if they have to be transferred, the replacement for them is taking long. And I know how critically you as ministry or even social welfare sees that as a problem. I think that needs to be addressed ISIP. Thank you.
Thank you, Akram. I definitely will look into that. Probably we will get a data on date staff is transferred, and I want all the data to come to me so that we will see that immediately the staff replacement, at least a relieving staff is given. So I do note there was some issues in some schools. I received it and I actioned it immediately. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Say on the environment, I just want to say a few words. In the same hall, when the government started to give the grant, that time the SEO and Divisional Education Officer, they were present over here, and the people from Suva. They asked us, the managers, to sign the environment, which we were doing up to date. But now it has come to clear to me that we don't have to sign, the principal and the head teacher has to sign.
No. What I'm saying, jointly.
Jointly.
Because the money is in the custody of the manager. But we are saying that you need to consult the school head, whether it's a head teacher or the principal, because we don't want later on the manager alone moving the money from, let's say, stationary allocation to, let's say, construction of an ablution block. And then a head teacher says that, hey, we don't have stationery here to run the school. So jointly you need to sign off and send the request to us. So then we'll say, okay, the school is okay, they don't need any more money for stationery, and there's a need to construct the ablution block. So both parties need to sign off.
Thank you. Up till now, our environment has not been stopped. Every time we buy the money, it has been gone through by Ministry of Education.
Thank you.
And the other thing, the grant which has been introduced to our school, we are thankful to you for your explanation that you will be receiving less grant this term, provided that grant goes to the other schools which are in the rural areas and which are underprivileged. We don't blame anything for the cut of the grant. And the service of the buses, yesterday we had PA Bar, ADO Lautoka and Faiaaz. We had a meeting in Drasa Johnson Road, and we had a lengthy talk on the bus services. It affects the school in the rural areas. Because today, when I was coming to this meet, 8:15, the bus entered Drasa Secondary School compound, and the class starts at 8 o'clock. And the external exam will come soon. And when the children will go late, they will be late in their papers. If you can see in this matter, you can talk to PA Bar, ADO Lautoka, and the chairman, Mr. Faiaaz Khan. They'll come to you about the bus services. Say, in 1996, I took the managership of the Drasa Education Society. That time I had 16 streams in primary school. But today, I have 8 streams. 8 streams have gone out. There are few other schools built there, and they were built for underprivileged students. You can look into that and ask the school to abide by what the ministry has given them the instruction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will look into that. I did have a chat with Faiaaz last night about the transport issue. And I must say that Faiaaz is on top of it, but we will give all assistance that Faiaaz needs to deal with the transport issue. We're concerned about it in quite a number of places. In Suva too, in Tadurua East, I was there one weekend. They were telling me that the school bus is full, and when students get up on the labor bus, and then the drivers are not accepting the voucher. So we got the matter sorted out with LTA. They've given an instruction to the company that the labor bus should take the vouchers, given that the school bus doesn't have the capacity. But we'll talk to Faiaaz. You want to say something? Yeah.
What we are looking for, under the CCL, there is 2 buses, one for the passenger, that's public, and one for the school. What is happening at this point of time, the Lautoka General Transport is using one bus for both. And I think our men from Sai School have rightly said that the school bus should leave at about 6:30. And here the school leaves at 6 o'clock right in Drasa Lomolomo. And the kids have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And once we come for the daylight saving, our children have to wake up at 4 in the morning. So may I request you, Honorable Minister, that we have spoken to LTA, I think LTA rep is here. And whenever we talk about the bus service in Lautoka district, The operators are always saying that the LTA is in our pocket. This attitude have to be stopped.
Okay, Faiaaz, what I suggest is you compile all the issues in the Lautoka district regard to transportation in relation to school in particular.
Thank you.
We will take it up. I'll personally take it up. We have dealt with it, Suba, we have resolved it, and we've got very good outcome. So my office will deal with LTA.
Just to add on that, Mr. Se,
Combine all from all managers. If all managers could give that. Yeah.
just to add on that, the school closes at 3 o'clock. And the bus leaves the station at 3:15. By the time the school kids reach the town, the bus is already left. There should be some sort of, and then we can see the school kids in the uniform till 5 loitering around in town. That have to be stopped, mister. Because our safety, we can't compromise our safety for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just a suggestion. We have noticed, Anand, manager for just primary. The managers are not being informed of things. Maybe the email goes to the head teacher, but request if CC can be done to the managers as well. So we're in the same line, no?
I agree. No, that's why we're establishing this National Council for School Managers, where we'll now have direct contact. Also, we'll have district reps who will be in touch with you. Not all managers probably have email addresses and email access. So we're looking at how we're going to deal with it. We can also make it mandatory for our head teachers to pass the circular to the manager. So we'll develop a system. I do understand up till now, one of the most important stakeholders, you all, the managers, we have sacrificed doing voluntary work, hasn't been looked after well. And I must say that we will now develop this system where we'll have direct access. So I'll develop a system where I want to look at, because not everyone has an email, So we'll still might have to use our heads of schools.
Thank you. Whatever the communication system is, but at least, the managers are in the group as well. Secondly, say, if the kindergarten grant can be recalculated or not, whatever applications, how the figures can go, from where we don't know. But it's hard to meet the survey and all that at this stage. Can be recalculated or not?
That is something I'll look at. That one I can't promise. It's a financial issue, it's a budgetary issue. Prior to this, prior to the registration of kindergartens for grant, tuition fee grant, we had close to about 600 of them. Now we have got about 1,200 as of now. And all of them are now going to get grants. So every year, every month, the number of kindergartens is going up because importance of it, and now those children who are not going to kindergarten, those parents who are not sending the children to kindergarten because they couldn't afford to pay, are now sending the children to kindergarten, which means the number of kindergartens is increasing. What we have done is, we're now treating ECE as a separate department. Before, we had one officer for ECE in the primary section. So now we are treating ECE as a separate department, and we're establishing ECE advisors for different districts. These little kids are, they're quite vulnerable, and they need to be looked after, and we need to monitor them as well. So as we developed our ECE section, like primary and secondary, we'll also revisit the grant that we're giving, particularly the tuition fee grant. I think it's a start now. We've started this year in terms of getting this. Give a few years to mature, but I must say that this kind of partnership is good. I've asked that all ECE, all primary schools should have an ECE, and primary schools should support the ECE, share facilities and also grant-wise. So that's why we want all primary schools to have ECE. But in addition to the ECEs attached to primary school, we still are supporting and will provide funding to ECEs that are standalone, that are separate from primary school. That's perfectly fine. Thank you. Well, Madam.
Regarding our children, most of our children get selected into the national team, which is soccer, netball. Right now, one is playing soccer in Lambasa. Where can we get funds for that? We had suggestions last night, as we said, committee members saying that we should fundraise. And then, on the other hand, the question arises that we cannot fundraise more than once. Is it true?
No, that's not true. There's some misinformation about fundraising. What all we are saying is that do not levy on children. Like we say, each child will need to bring in $50 per child, or each parent needs to contribute $100.
Okay.
But you can do more fundraising, more 1, 2, etc. The community can get together.
Yeah, just for these students, right now we have 15 picked to go to Suva, and we had one that had gone to New Zealand for netball. We would like to contribute towards their going, you know, for pocket money or whatever. We just want to know where we can get that. Is it okay for us to do a major fundraising?
Yeah,
and we can fundraise more than once?
You can fundraise more than once.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Minister.
Second last question,
Honorable Minister and fellow colleagues, I'm Narend Prasad, manager of Lautoka Primary School. I would like to thank the ministry for taking this initiative of coming down here and getting all the managers together and listen to the concerns. One of the concerns probably is that I am facing at the moment is the shortage of classrooms. Probably the enrollment is getting bigger. We are already 1 to 40 to 45, and then immediately next year we will need another 2 classrooms. And I'm looking forward to the ministry's contribution so that we could put up the building during the holidays so that they would be ready for the next term. Thank you.
Do email me and we'll look into that. For the primary schools, we have given a separate tranche of money for smaller schools. For example, for a school with less than 50 students, we have given a separate additional 5,000 this year. 50 to 100, we've given additional 3,000. Next year, we're looking at a primary school with a roll of below 50. We want to give them additional $10,000. So that's how we're dealing with it. That's the Bani Brahma government's vision. Last question, last formal comment from Parmendra, and then we'll have an informal conversation. We'll probably close the meeting. Parmendra.
Indeed, this morning has been very fruitful, especially the minister taking out his time to meet these managers, as he has mentioned that the management plays a very crucial and they are important stakeholders. I do understand that there has been a lot of reforms taking place, and Ministry of Education is one of that very most ministry that action is taking place. I do understand as a manager, I also have problems in my school. Probably my school, we have a loan of 350,000. And again, as the minister had said, that next year the grants will be further reduced. And this year, my school, especially the primary school, we received 50,000 less compared to the previous year. My earnest plea to all the managers, to the management, please work smartly, and the most important thing is work honestly. That is the essence of education. You know, there has been a lot of schools which I am aware of mismanagement of funds. No, things have not done correctly, not done rightly, not done on timely manner. You know, and this all affects education. Again, education is more of a business today, and we have to look from that perspective how we can raise funds, how we can generate, and how we can sustain so that we give the best to our children. You know, in my primary school, we have about 950 primary kids. And looking at my kindergarten, I have about 120. And looking at my secondary school, we have about 600 plus. So, and we are a rural school, mind you. The community which we live in, they are daily cash farmers. So, but with all this, despite all these challenges, we still are managing, as you know, as I have said, working honestly. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager. Thank you, Pramen. So we'll still have our formal conversation. I want to thank you for coming. This is a voluntary work you're doing, unpaid work. I think you're doing it for the children, the future generation. I really appreciate on behalf of our Prime Minister, thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
No.